Adapted dining plates, plate guards and bowls are designed to help solve dining challenges. Disabilities and physical limitations can make eating at dinner time more difficult for caregivers and their loved ones. Using special plates with raised edges for scooping food, non-slip bottoms and bright colors can help. Bowls with added weight can help stabilize tremors and shaking for people who have suffered a stroke or have Parkinson's. Use these adapted dining aids to help make eating less work and more enjoyable for those who have difficulty feeding themselves. Click on the link in the description to learn more about adapted dining, and to see more adapted living healthcare products.